that the Russian troops are now in control in that region. Here's what she said to me. When I came to the office today in the morning, it turned out that the nuclear power plant management had all left. So there was no one to give instructions or to defend it, she told CNN earlier. So that is another interesting development. Chernobyl is, what do you say how far it is from Kiev?
60 kilometers.
I don't think it's about an hour's drive, maybe less than that from Kiev, the Ukrainian capital. And of course, because of the contamination there and the radioactive material that still exists in the surrounding area, which is why it's an exclusion zone, of course, any kind of disruption at all threatens to, bring all that dust back up again, brush all that dust back up again. Literally talking about dust that is radioactive, and at the time, back in the late 1980s, caused thyroid cancer amongst many, many people in Kiev and in the surrounding area as well, as they breathed in those radioactive particles. The last thing anybody wants right now is for that nightmare to be revived with a military confrontation on the ground in the area of that exclusion zone. So I think we all hope right now that that's something that won't happen, Jake.
All right, Matthew Jensen, your memory is right. It was April of 1986, the Chernobyl disaster. Before we do our next step, I want to bring in the former Director of National Intelligence, retired General James Clapper. What is the potential significance if there is a firefight going on in the area of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster with all that still radioactive dust?
It's huge. It would have huge implications not only for Ukraine, obviously, but for the whole region, to include, ironically enough, Russia. And this is apart from the 15 other nuclear reactors still active at four different sites across Ukraine. None of them in the Donbass region, fortunately. So this to me is a real problem. And the Russians are not known for discriminate targeting. If they either wittingly or unwittingly hit one of these facilities, you have a real disaster on your hands.
It's sobering news, of course, on a very serious day already. Let's talk now with the former United States ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor. Ambassador Taylor, good to see you as always. I guess the first question is there anything that can be done to stop Putin and Russia from a complete and total takeover of Ukraine, short of NATO sending troops in, which they will not do?
Jake, the Russian military clearly has the capability to go into many of the cities, many of the largest cities. It probably doesn't have the capability to go in all. It doesn't have the manpower. The Russian military doesn't have the 3 million, 4 million troops that would be necessary to occupy all of Ukraine. Several people have noticed the size of Texas. This is not something that can be controlled or occupied all over. However, they can go into Kyiv, they can go into Kharkiv, they can go into Lviv, they can go into Odessa, they can go into certain places and take over, and the key will be Kyiv. The key will be the seat of government, and the important thing for the Ukrainians will be to maintain that government somewhere, whether it's in Kyiv, if they can defend, or if it's somewhere else. But other than that, Jake, there's not a lot that that the military can do. The military is going to make the Russians bleed. It's going to be painful for the Russians. It'll be more painful for the Ukrainians. But the Russians and Mr. Putin will have on his hands a lot of Russian soldiers dead going back to Russia to be buried. But they'll be able to go all the way to some of these big cities.
So we've heard today from the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, as well as the foreign minister of Ukraine, pleading for the West, specifically for the European Union, to unplug Russia from what is called the SWIFT banking system. Explain what that is and why this is not just an easy